Good day, everyone. Our topic for today is all about the principles, policies, and dimension of special and inclusive education under the topic discussion early intervention and progress of conclusion in the Philippine model. So before we start, let us know first the five topic discussion. Number one, early intervention. Number two, process of inclusion, Philippine model that I would be discussed. Number three, transition program for sustaining program, and lastly, the national IP educational that would be discussed by Rainiel Madolio. Early intervention. Early intervention, it is designed to help infants and toddlers with developmental delays or diagnosed disabilities. It is available in every state and it is coordinated by the state's lead agency. So it says that the lead agency must ensure that all infants and toddlers with disability in the states who may have developmental delays or diagnosed disabilities are identified and evaluated. This agency conducts public awareness and child fight activities throughout the states and let the president know that early intervention services are available to have infants and toddlers with disabilities. What is early intervention in special need of education? So, early intervention refers to services and supports that can help young children develop mental delays. It's like special education, but it's for eligible infants and toddlers who are behind at reaching developmental milestones. So it states there that early intervention services can change a child's developmental path and improve outcomes from children, families, and communities. Helping children help your family. Families benefits from early intervention by being able to better meet their children's needs from an early and throughout their lives. What can early intervention achieve? So, early intervention approaches often focus on supporting key aspects of child development, their physical, cognitive, behavioral, and social and emotional development, where it has the potential to make the biggest difference and provides benefits throughout a person's life. Physical development involves children's physical health, maturation, and the presence or absence of a physical disability, and it provides the basis for positive development in all other areas. Physical outcomes targeted by early intervention activities includes improving birth outcomes, reducing the incidence of infectious diseases, and decreasing childhood obesity. So, an explanation to that, physical development contributes to cognitive development. As children move and explore the world, they learn about properties of objects and their own capabilities. In the early year, children are establishing patterns of activity which will affect their whole future. Next is the cognitive development. It includes children's acquisition of speech and language skills, their abilities to read and write, their numeracy capabilities, and their understanding of logical problem solving. Positive cognitive development is strongly associated with the children's success in school and entry into workforce. Cognitive outcomes typically targeted by early intervention includes performance on standards tests, school achievements, and higher education and employment opportunities once they leave schools. So, cognitive development refers to a set of intellectual abilities that researchers consider to be normal for an infant, toddlers, preschoolers, or kindergarten. In other words, it is the qualifications or systematizations of how much a child should be able to do or understand by a certain age. Next is the behavioral development. It involves children's ability to monitor and regulate their own behavior, attention, and impulses. Children's self regulatory skills are highly associated with their ability to form positive relationships with others, as well as their success in school. Behavioral self-regulation difficulties during childhood are highly predictive of children's involvement in criminal activity during the teenage year and adulthood. Behavioral outcomes frequently targeted by early intervention, including reducing antisocial behavior and crime, violence and aggression at school, and inflation of antisocial peers. So, behavioral development of preschoolers are curious, easily distracted, independent, and still developing self regulation. Preschool helps your child learn about getting along with others and following rules. Common preschoolers' behavior concerns are tantrums, habits, laying, and anxiety. Lastly is the social and emotional development. It involves children's awareness of their own emotional needs and emotional needs of others. Social and emotional development also encompasses the development of children's self esteem and their ability to manage negative feelings. Social and emotional development is strongly associated with a child's ability to form positive relationships with others and a reduced risk of a depression and other mental health outcomes. So social and emotional development in the early year, also referred to as early childhood mental health, it refers to child's emerging capacity to experience, regulate, and express a range of emotions. Develop close satisfying relationship with other childs and adults, and actively explore their environment and learn. Early intervention also targets tricky additional threats to a child's development, which are strongly associated with adverse outcomes during adolescence and adulthood. First is the child maltreatment, the substance misuse, and lastly is the risky sexual behavior. Child maltreatment is the abuse and neglect that occurs to children under 18 years of age. Next is the substance misuse, is the use of alcohol, illegal drugs, or over-the-counter or prescription medication in a way that they are not meant to be used. Over time, substance misuse can become an unhealthy way to respond to stress and anxiety, particularly when managing a chronic illness like cystic fibrosis. Lastly is the risky sexual behavior. It includes unprotected intercourse, multiple sex partners, and illicit drug use. The use of alcohol and illicit drugs greatly increases the risk of gonorrhea, hepatitis B, and HIV. Trauma from penile anal sex has been identified as a risky sexual behavior. And now let's proceed to our second topic, which is the process of inclusion in the Philippine model. Here are the four examples of Philippine models of inclusion. Number one, self-instruction, self-monitoring, self-reinforcement, and lastly is the self-determination. Self-instruction helps a student perform difficult tasks, cue them to employ a strategy, or help them remember the steps in the task. Self-instruction can also work on motivational processes and help students deal with stressful situations. Self-monitoring is a type of intervention that involves individual regulating and assessing their own performance and behavior. With self-monitoring, individuals learn to discriminate between appropriate and inappropriate behavior and monitor themselves. Self-reinforcement, positive reinforcement as a form of positive discipline allows us to tap into our children's individual strength, draw attention to their personality, treat an interest, and as a result give us an opportunity to connect, communicate effectively, and ultimately power them to more of themselves. Lastly is the self-determination. Self-determination is important for all people, including students with disabilities. The skills leading to enhanced self-determinations like goal setting, problem solving, and decision making enable students to assume greater responsibility and control. What is the process of inclusion? Inclusion is a process. Inclusion is concerned with the identification and removal of barriers. Consequently, it involves collating, and evaluating information from a wide variety of sources in order to plan for improvements in policy and practice. We have here the two examples of process of inclusion, the partial mainstreaming and the full mainstreaming. Now let's discuss the partial mainstreaming. Partial mainstreaming, students are educated in regular classes at least half day, receive additional help or special service, and lastly is the pull out. Full mainstreaming of inclusion is complete regulation instruction, receive all special services in general classroom. And here are the differences between partial inclusion and full inclusion. And that ends up my report. Thank you so much for listening.